So now that you have the basic flag, we're going to start putting in the value to show that it's an American flag with red, white, and blue, but we're doing it in shades of gray. So um, here's what we're going to be doing. For the area that is blue, this is going to have a dark value. So we're going to go ahead and color that in as dark as we can on the sides here, because we want to show that it is a kind of a rounded area of the cloth. And then as you get toward the center, you're going to lighten up your pressure. And when you lighten the pressure with a pencil, it's going to cause the value to be lighter. So you're going to help this look more like a form, more 3D. And one thing we saw also that will help is using something to blend the color or blend the graphite. You can use your finger, but the finger, when you use that, it's kind of hard to control because your fingertips go outside of areas and stuff. You might need something a little bit smaller. So I have found that a Q-tip is actually a pretty good tool to use. So I already have some Q-tips here. And you can see just by smearing it a little bit, it's spreading that graphite, and what it's doing is getting into pockets of the paper that the pencil couldn't quite reach. So you're kind of forcing the pencil into those pocket areas. If it gets a little bit into the star, that's okay. You can always go back in and erase it. You just want to try to be careful that you stick with erasing just inside the star. There is something called an eraser shield that they sell, usually for kids that are in college or high school. They use eraser shields. I don't think we're going to need that for what we're doing. And then it's helpful if you have a paintbrush to just kind of brush off the extra. You can also blow it too if you want, but I just like using a paintbrush. Okay. The space underneath the blue is typically white on an American flag. So I'm not going to shade that part just yet. I'm going to actually go down to the stripe that would normally be red. And I'm going to shade the sides of that very as dark as I can. You may need to sharpen your pencil as you go. So if you have a pencil sharpener handy, because like already my pencil is getting dull, even though I sharpened it just as we were getting started. And for the red area, I'm going to only color this far. I'm not going to color into the center there. So what I'm going to do instead of coloring into the center there is use the Q-tip to shade it toward the center, kind of guide that pencil toward the middle there. Okay. And then when it comes to doing the areas that should have been white, I'm actually going to spread that pencil up here with the blender. And right there, I have a finished section, just like that. And if you decide, hey, you know what, I really would like to have a more defined highlight, you can use your eraser. Go back in, define that highlight if you want it. If you think you did too much, go back in with your pencil or your blender and just readjust it. Okay. If you happen to have an ebony pencil or something that's a softer lead pencil, this is a 4B leaded pencil. You can also use that to get in some darker areas if you really want it to show contrast. That will help the color or the value to pop, and it'll help it look a little more three-dimensional. You can already see just in that little bit of adding just a little touch of darkness, that's already adding a little bit to the definition of that form there. All right, so that's how you're going to do the shading with the pencil.